What up, hotheads? I'm Henry, and this is Blaze the Roof. This week, we're reviewing a sauce named Cantina Royal Morita Bourbon Maple. Reaper. I forgot about the Reaper part. Cantina Royal, and the reason I'm saying Royal, because it's not Cantina Royal, right? Because there'd be an E at the end of it. Or if it was true Spanish, it would be Cantina Real. So, yeah, I'm just going Cantina Royal. It's a restaurant and bar out of the Williamsburg neighborhood in Brooklyn. Known as Hipster Mecca. It was founded by executive chef Julio M.M., or I guess Julio M.M., and restaurateur Diana Bechara ni Rodriguez. They got into hot sauce by the urging of their patrons, and here we are. This is the second sauce I've reviewed from them. Their first one I wasn't really the biggest fan of. We'll see how this one is. Cantina Royal is also minority-owned and woman-owned. The city they're out of is New York City. We've already covered this ad nauseum, so we're going to skip that, as well as famous people from there. Let's just get right to the packaging. So Cantina Royal uses this, they always have a black label. They do have a color on the border, as well as this little flourish up here that's really nice. It's got flames at the bottom. As you can see, there's a lot of chili peppers filled in. I think there's supposed to be 10, so it's like a 9 out of 10. This is supposed to be decently hot. I wouldn't say it's, I forgot what it's at. I think, it's like 73,000, but let's read the label here, okay? Picture this: waves of fiery Carolina Reapers, rounded with deliciously smoky Mexican Morita chilies. Add oaky bourbon whiskey, maple syrup, and a touch of citrus, and you get a tangy, sweet, smoky flavor that cranks up into a fireball of heat that seduces the palate. Try it on wings, grilled veggies, sliders, a nice steak, or make a killer rack of ribs. All right, so let's look at the ingredients now. The ingredients include distilled vinegar reduced to 4%. Vinegar is typically 5%, so I guess they did like 4 parts vinegar, 1 part water, just to reduce it even more. Chili peppers, bourbon whiskey, maple syrup, onion, garlic, spices, kosher salt. I've covered all the ingredients here, but I figured since it's out of New York City, there's a lot of great foods out of New York City. And I want to talk about bagels. Bagels actually originated in Poland in the 17th century, so they've been around a while. It was to get around anti-Semitic baking laws. I'm not sure exactly. I tried to look them up, but I couldn't find exactly what those were. Bagels are boiled prior to baking, making them the only pastry to be boiled. It's to maintain a chewy texture while keeping the outside firm. The hole in bagels is actually for a reason. 1 is to cook better. 2, you can stack them on a dowel, and it's easier to display them and sell them that way. This is non-negotiable. If it is not round, it is not a bagel. If you make it into a square, you've just made a weird biscuit or something. It has to be round to be a bagel. The largest bagel ever created weighed 868 pounds, needed 1,100 pounds of dough, and 900 gallons of water, and it took over 10 hours to cook. The everything bagel, which is actually the most popular bagel nowadays, from my understanding, was invented by a 15-year-old. And bagels in general, they were always in Jewish bakeries, but they became big in the United States in the 1970s. Before we get any further, let's hear from this week's sponsor. With the popularity of Vince Gilligan's shows and waning interest in reality TV, we needed to up the ante. So CDN developed a new game show named Baking Bad, a show where 2 teams compete to see who can cook the best meth. Filmed in an undisclosed location in Mexico, these teams will have to see if they can withstand the heat from not only the Mexican sun, but the lab itself. Baking Bad, not your typical cooking show. Now for the moment of truth. I can kind of smell the bourbon. Maybe a little bit of garlic and maybe the ancho or the moritas. It is very fluid. It is dark. So if you know anything about Mexican chilies, when they get red, they get really like dark red like this, like pasilla, guajillo, ancho. They all get like this color. This does clock in at 73,000 SHUs. Let's see how this goes. Here we go. Cheers. All right, it does have a smoky flavor. Oh, here we go. The Reaper's building up in the back. It's got good heat. I would like a little bit more seasoning, as far as like a little bit more garlic. I don't really taste the maple that much. Maybe that's due to the acidity. But yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's a sweet sauce, but I mean, I could see it being used with in conjunction with like a barbecue sauce. I am sweating a little bit. So this is a middleweight, but it's a good strong middleweight. It's like a 7 out of 10, maybe an 8. Nah, I'd say 7 out of 10. It's not really that powerful. Rather flavorful. What would I use this on? I would say, yeah, I mean, it says wings. I would use it on wings. I would use it on any type of barbecue, especially mixed in with the barbecue sauce. Probably be good. Not a steak. Again, I think it's almost a crime to eat steak with it. But now would I put this on like any tacos as well? If they were beef, maybe like steak tacos, maybe fajitas, but that's about it. That's the only case where I'd say like to use it on steak. It's a decent sauce, but it's not like mind-blowing per se. So I would say I'm going to use the rest of the sauce, but yeah, it's a hold. It's not a buy. Next week will be an interesting one. It's going to be from a company named Good Heat, and the sauce is queso sin queso. It's a vegan queso recipe. Should be interesting. Until then, I'm Henry, and remember, spice up your life. Take care.